Sorry, I was on.
Hey guys, this is Louis Marchman, and I want to teach you a little bit about using ProSeries Professional in the hosted environment, though you could be using it on your desktop and still do just about everything we're going to do in the video. The difference is if you pay Intuit and Right Networks for their combination, their amalgamated team effort to put together this beautiful hosting, you can get this awesome remote cloud desktop where all your tax returns and all your softwares and all the files are saved on the cloud instead of hosted on your desktop, which is cool for one reason, essentially, which is that no matter where you are, you have your data. So for example, I'm on my desktop, my main desktop computer now. I've got some laptops. If I'm ever on a laptop at a client's business or their office or their house, or I'm on a bus to Madagascar from Kenya, I can do the same tax return, have access to the same files as I would here on my desktop computer, on any of my computers. So it's always the same as right here in the cloud. It's really cool. Okay, so what we're gonna work on today is gonna be, let's do schedules. Let's do M3, no, let's do M1. Schedule M1 on a S corporation business income tax return. So that's 11, not just 5, that's partnership, sorry. So 1120S, S corporation tax return, okay? So we'll put in the ID number. I'm gonna put in a dummy one because I don't want to expose anybody's real things. So I've got some names that have been changed to, and that's gonna be, actually, it's the shareholder information. That's going to be their social. So we just look at 5667777. Shareholder entity type is an individual. Ownership is 50%. I'll quickly jump out of my cloud software to send an email to the client to make sure. Actually, I don't need to do that because if you're smart, and sometimes I am, thankfully, you get from your tax clients their prior year tax returns before preparing their current year tax return, right? If you're smart, you do that most of the time, or as much as is completely possible. And if it's not possible, they probably haven't had their returns done the prior year, and that means you've got an opportunity to do another return. So, of course, additional returns. That being said, I'm going to open in the other window very quickly their client file to see the partnership distribution, essentially. So it's not a partnership in their S corporation as far as the partners or owners or members of the S corporation. Okay, so it's not going to be on this computer. I happen to know they're both 50%. So we're going to say wife. So the last name is wife Tofree. Address 123 Sunshine Lane. One thing I love about ProSeries, as well as some of the other desktop and hosted, but not online, cloud-based Intuit softwares, for example, QuickBooks Desktop also does this. When you put in a zip code, it's going to know the city and state. It's going to enter it for you, which is a really beautiful thing. So we're going to just do the one for Aurora. That's not true in this case, but we can say that they're in Aurora. They're close, but that's not the cigar. Okay. Next person has got a social security just besides change to 888 99 1010. And this name is husband. That's also going to be Sunshine Lane. And again, Aurora, Colorado. Aurora is part of Denver, which we live here. You got to put the entity type. So what type of entity is this shareholder? Is this shareholder in the state? Is it a shareholder of business itself, organized under a single member LLC tax structure? Is it a trust left to somebody by the passing of a family member? Is it an exempt organization that files a 990, like a nonprofit 501c3 charity, which doesn't have to pay taxes? Or is it, in this case, an individual? And the reason this is so important, even though it should go without saying, is that what we're going to do is take the results of this income tax return for the business, and we're going to then go over to individual returns when we finish the return and import everything from here, including the K1s, into the individual return. That way it's a lot less data entry. So that was basically a data entry informational video. I'm going to do a ton more. I want you guys to give me, if you would, in the comments or via email, whatever, suggestions as to what you want to see. I've just got my first request for Pro Series video. So that's where this one is born of. But I don't know truly what people want to see. So I'm going to ask. Just go ahead and let me know what you guys would like to see. Finally, let's make a PDF so we get a little more value out of the session. Though it'd be short. So you're gonna go to File and then you just hit Create PDF down toward the bottom, and you can choose one of three types up here. And the reason is that you can go into settings under the Tools menu, I think it is, and you can choose what forms print with each one of these kind of returns, as you see here. So you're gonna make yourself a different mix of forms that are going to be forced to print when you do a filing copy for paper filing purposes, a client copy for client retention of their tax return purposes, or a prepare copy for your purposes. This one is a prepare copy. Even so, I'll mask the sensitive data and I'll watermark it, but I'm not going to sit with the watermark that says do not mail data masked. I'm going to use my company. Okay, I'm going to do Marchman County. Do the federal return on the mass sensitive data. And that reminds me, there's no state return. So let's learn how to do that too. Okay, it's now authorizing the return, basically purchasing the credit. And I'm going to let it do so. As it's creating my PDF, I'm going to then go back up in here into the menu. And I'm going to create a state tax return. And then we'll close the program and be done for the time being. Okay, folks, let's do this. So you go to File, you go to state/city, and you just click into it. We want to do a Colorado S Corporation tax return because this is a federal S Corporation tax return we're now working on. So, okay, it's going to add the Colorado. So they're going to have an 8-digit account number. This differs state to state somewhat, but is mostly the same, is that when you need this Colorado 8-digit account number or Nebraska account number, it's basically asking for the state ID number or the state version of the federal employer identification number. Where do you find such a thing? Mr. Lewis, Marchman accounting owner. I'll tell you. Colorado, you go to the Colorado Secretary of State. Click on the website, go to businesses, trademarks, and trade names, search business database. And guess what? We're dealing with a friendly and real business. So let's search and see if their state ID is listed somewhere here. Like maybe on the articles of incorporation, you see the business is in good standing with the formation date of October 3rd, 2019. So we're going to open this up and see. Here's the ID number. 2019-18-04488. So I'm just going to paste that. This is my secure cloud hosted server down here where I host the tax return we talked about earlier on the hosted environment. So open that back up, click in the field, and Control V or Velcro to paste that in. And it didn't like it. So let's see. Guys, I got stumped and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. What we're going to do, we're going to Google how to find state ID. We're also going to go back to the federal return, and there's another thing I want to show you guys in the meantime. So there are two entry modes in Pro Series. This is like the most coolest thing about Pro Series. You got the regular entry mode here, and you got forms-based mode. If you click up there. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to change completely what is being thrown at you in the view of your tax return. So right now this is forms, this is entry mode where you can enter stuff quickly. So I would say the province would be like that in this instance. Oh, and Control A doesn't do Control All. It brings up the calculator. In fact, no foreign postal code is not a foreign entity. It's just a regular Inglewood, Colorado address. And for the email address, let's say Okay. Officer's name. So you're gonna put John Goldberry. He's not really, but that's a funny name we're making up there. Oh, John S. Business code. You got to have the data incorporated with every tax return involving information return for an S corporation, C corporation, partnership, estate, trust, or S corporation. The business code is also what's known as an NAICS code. You have to put that on every tax return for every business, even if it's just a single member LLC or sole proprietorship. And what you're doing is a Schedule C. Even then, you've got to put the NAICS code. So what these people here do is they own a wonderful printing shop. We're going to say printing. We'll do the printing NAICS, and that's what we're going to end up entering. NAICS code 323101, commercial printing, except screens and books. Definition of NAICS code 32311. This U.S. industry comprises established department engaged in commercial printing, except screen printing, books printing, and without publishing. Now, I don't know that these guys do publishing, but I know for a fact they do print books. So let's see if they've got another one that is more inclusive and not only includes regular commercial printing, but also books. In the meantime, we'll assume this one's right while that's loading, and we'll go enter it. 323111 is the business code. So remember, business code equals NAICS code. Business activity. They just want a brief description here of what they're doing. I'm going to say professional material printing or professional printing services. Effective date of S election, I believe we said was 10/2/2020. Well, let's go ahead and double check. Let's get that Secretary of State thing pop back up. Other index. Yeah, that's good. That's a fine in the ICS for this business. And that was on Secretary of State. We had the date of the corporation. I think it was 10/2, but it could have been 10/4. And rather than being unsure and just pretending we might know and then doing something wrong, we're of course going to find out it's in between the two things, I guess. And it's 10/3/2019. Okay, perfect. 10/03/2019. Enter. Date of S election. Why doesn't like that? Oh, because I've got to say same date as the corporation date. Perfect. Product or service is going to be printing. First year as an S corporation, no, because as you just said, they made the S corporation election and became effectively an unincorporated S corporation in 2019. Prepare a code. This has to do with internals for yourself and the software. So for example, for me, if I go to tools, options, and go to electronic filing, or rather right below electronic return originator info, I'll put my EIN, that's employer, that's your ID number. No, that's the AN. This is it's not even employer, it's electronic return originator, ERO, aka EIN, electronic filing identification number. That's a number that you need to get fingerprints at your local police station, send them to the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, but actually their governing branch, which is the Department of Justice, who owns the Internal Revenue Service and is part of the Treasury of the United States of America, in order to be able to electronically file tax returns for a living professionally. A P10, on the other hand, is a number you need also from the IRS to prepare taxes for money in the United States of America. An address is a place you do so that you're not cold in the 14031 East Iliff Ave, Aurora, Colorado, 80014. So we moved from Colorado Springs. Marchman County is now up here in Denver, and we are so in love with it. It's great here. It's awesome. We're so happy. Officer's title. If you're dealing with an S corporation, C corporation, even a state trust, and if you're dealing with a partnership, typically we'll say president or member or partner. Wouldn't usually say owner unless it's single member LLC or sole proprietorship. Now on a social security number, let's do and then we'll right click to let it know this is actually an estimation, not a current social. And so it's not going to let me proceed, and it's going to generate this error. Okay, so we went to that forms entry mode. Now if you hold Control M, we're going to go back to regular entry mode. And now we've got a little more information and more things we need to put in the return, but it's essentially somewhat the same data. The federal filings, they've got federal, they've got Colorado original return, and we're hopefully never going to have an amended return for them because hopefully we'll do it right every single time. All right. So that's that. If I were to turn errors, here's something really cool I'll show you guys. When you make you have a lot of options when you make your PDF of things that you can add to it. And I think that's super awesome. So here, for example, we've got, I don't want to show you that because that could be construed as client data, even though it's not. It's totally hypothetical stuff we've come up with. But here's a great example. Okay, here's how I'll finish the video. So you've got K1 share of income deductions for an S corporation. So what we do is we make the 1065 or 1120S or 1120 business return. And then we're gonna go over here. This is so cool, you guys, you're gonna love this. Go over here, close the client. Okay, when I reach close, it's gonna prompt you to save, of course. We're gonna get out of S corps and move to individual tax returns. And you would find the customer, but we're not gonna do it on that, guys. So what we'll do is we'll do a pretend thing and we'll let's duplicate one of these. So we'll say, edit, where's duplicate? Client file maintenance, copy. Okay, so let's duplicate it by copying it. Okay, so target directory. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm gonna take that business return, which is phony kind of anyway. So this is just for instructional purposes, but well, I'm gonna take that business return and I'm gonna import it into an individual. So we'll pretend this was the same person. Let's back up this client, see if it creates a duplicate for us, which is what we wanted to do. If not, we'll just do somebody's return that's probably not gonna do a return or not gonna pay for one or something like that. I mean, you say who would do such a horrible thing as not pay their tax accountant, but trust me, it happens sometimes. Okay, so let's go to a duplicate one like this. Oh, no, that wasn't a duplicate. I'm having troubles because what that is you see here, you've got e-file accepted. So that's the tax return, and then e-file and pro. Oh, there we go. So that is a duplicate. Praise God. Okay, almost unraveling, folks. So close the client. In fact, we cancel that. We're going to import it to this return. We're just not going to save it. So you go to tax import. And one way to import data into ProSeries is to just take it straight from a PDF. You scan into your cloud hosting if you have that, or take it straight off your desktop. The other way is, say, like in this example, we prepared a business's return in ProSeries itself. And we now want to take all that data and put it in the same client's individual return. We are going to say, file, transfer, and it's the same. That's how you do year to year. So sorry, we're gonna do import, tax import. Geez, how do we do this? K1 import. Here it is. Going to import K1 import. We're going to choose S corporation as our type of tax return, and we're going to choose the one that we were just messing with right here. You double click it, say yes, import. There are no schedule ones. Shoot, let's take this jerky thing. There are no schedule ones that match you. Okay, so it's got to be under the same name, but that's how you would do it. You would just tell it to import. One cool thing I'll say about buying the cloud hosting, which is like $120 a month, so it's very spendy, but in tax season, you can afford it because you make lots of money doing taxes then, and then you learn to not be able to live without it, so you end up with that expense and being on the hook for it all year, which is very costly. I won't say unfortunate, but it is costly for my business for sure. But one cool thing about it is that you don't have to buy 1 or 2 software years in the package. If you're doing the hosted, it will just give you every year you need. All you say, I need 2012, I need 2009 ProSeries, so I can go do a 2009 return. They'll make sure you got on here, and you actually don't really need them to do it. You can do it yourself by going here to my account, and you log into your account with Right Networks, where they've teamed up with ProSeries. Andy, never mind, the phone is ringing. And you log into your account and you have a whole dashboard here where you're able to access everything and essentially download everything you need, so you can get different programs beyond just the God, what am I trying to say? Beyond just the tax preparation software, you've got other stuff like the DMS server, information return system. I don't use this, but e-file cabinet. They got their own PDF editor you can use in the cloud as an alternative to, like, Adobe or something like that, which we use in my firm. I love Adobe; it's great. And yeah, so it's pretty easy software to use. I'd say it's like 10% and slight step down from the Power Pack punched by Lacert, which is also made by the same company, Intuit. But I'd say it's 90% a step up from their cloud hosted package, which is the very simple and interview-based tax preparation software known as ProConnect. So you got ProConnect, and this one, which is ProSeries, then Lacert, which is kind of like top boss hog, top dog. That's the one that if you're doing a lot of, like, we got clients, which we do, who own an S corporation, an LLC. They also work for the LLCs. They got W-2, they got some investment property. They got a whole lot going on. It's a big tax return or a cluster of several tax returns you need to file for the client. Lacert is going to be the best, but it's only going to be really 10% better than ProSeries, and I like the way the formatting is done better in ProSeries. Now, if you're just needing a quick and easy get in, get out, and do some simple returns, maybe it's your first 3 years or something as a tax return preparer that's self-employed, I would suggest jumping over onto ProConnect. Not to talk down to anybody or anything like that, but it's a very awesome cloud-based tool for simple returns that you can get through. I mean, if you've been doing it a few years and it's a simple 1040 return, what we used to call 1040 easy, but that doesn't exist anymore, you could probably be through it in 15 minutes and be ready to start reviewing and, emailing the client, getting stuff going and all that. ProConnect is really awesome. Here's the biggest thing I can tell you guys, and then we'll end the video on a high note before I ramble too long. Every one of these softwares has a pretty good cost attached to it, but there's a gigantic difference between purchasing accounting software from Intuit, which, keep in mind, they're a $9 billion corporation, the 8th biggest in the world. They're owned by Oracle. They make every tax software you've heard of, and accounting, they make QuickBooks, desktop and online. They make TurboTax, ProSeries, ProConnect, Lacert. But it's a huge difference from buying this between buying tax preparation software in November from anybody, especially Intuit, versus sometime like now in August. If you can get on with a sales rep right now, you'll get a crazy deal compared to what you're going to end up paying if you wait until the last minute and purchase it right before the season. If finances are only permitting you to do that, get in where you fit in, get in when you can. But my suggestion is get in as soon as you can when the price is for the low, because these things can get costly. And an addendum to that fact is that I've seen people get all the way ripped off. This is ProConnect right here. I've seen people get all the way ripped off, and I've seen myself and other people get all the way insanely hooked up. So dealing with the sales representative you deal with is also critical, tantamount, paramount, integral, absolutely necessary, important, and difference making regarding basically what you end up with on price. So that's it. marchmanaccounting.com, www.marchmanaccounting.com, lewis@marchmanaccounting.com, my email, 719-331-7190 is my phone number. That's a cell, just like hit me on that by call or text. Again, ask for any videos you want to see on any accounting or tax software or any other computer software we use in business, and I'll be sure to get it for you expeditiously. This one was just based on a general request to do any ProSeries video. That's why we went all over the place. Hope you guys have a lovely, lovely rest of the month and a killer, awesome month-end process beginning on the 1st when the next month begins. Peace.